our parents came here for like a better life. And it's funny because I want to clarify that most do have a great life, right, in the West Indies. However, they come for what is perceived as better.
Hey, family, and welcome to Callaloo and Collard Greens, your cultural table for humor, culture, celebration, and real talk. I'm here with our good friends, Brandon and Alicia. My name is Aliyah, and this is my husband, Omar. And today in episode 1, we are going to be breaking down the origin story, our love story, and talking about how we met, fell in love, and all of the complications that come along with multicultural relationships. So I want to just kick it over to Brandon and Alicia to just get started talking about how you both met. What's your love story? Tell it all.
We starting with the older millennials.
Wow.
Funny story. We always debate. You can tell the story.
Nope.
And then I'll just correct you.
Ladies first.
Well, how did I meet Brandon Ray? He was definitely doing some stalker stuff in his
Wow.
sandals.
Okay.
No, I met Brandon Ray because we were volunteering with the Urban League of Long Island, and he was busy doing all the things, and I was just like, oh, fancy. And I remember being on a STEM panel, and he's like, hey, and I was just like, wow.
Hey.
Okay, that's nice. Don't want to be with you. Not looking for nobody. I'm actually going back to Florida because I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and but we met doing what we loved.
Okay.
Community
All right.
service.
So can I tell the truth now?
That is the truth.
Okay. So
I mean, there's your version, her version, and then the truth, but we'll hear
mine is
yours.
pretty
Right.
close to the truth.
Right.
Okay, we'll see.
So Alicia is from Miami,
Mhm.
from Jamaica, and
That is true.
and then lived in Miami, raised in Miami, like Omar even. All right. So
Thanks for doing
Right.
you
that.
know
We
doing
live
so.
10 minutes apart. Didn't
Yeah.
know.
That's true.
It's crazy.
So that's crazy. Crazy how life works. And she moved to Long Island to find a better life, and she actually did.
Big man talk. Yeah.
And
I love a man with
so
confidence.
when I saw her, I said, "Oh, she's cute." And I said that I learned she introduced herself, and I said, "Listen, they're gonna try to make you into this communications person. Don't do it. Just learn." And then what you do, she becomes communication coach there, not listening, so that's a common theme.
Yeah, I don't listen.
And then I try to, wanted to help her say you looking for a job, Meanwhile, I ain't have a job, but I'm still helping people look for a job.
You didn't have
And she said, "No, I'm moving back to Florida. Leave me alone." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Don't talk to me." So I didn't talk to her. And then a few months later, she was on the STEM panel, like she said, and she looked beautiful and gorgeous. And I said, "Okay, enough's enough. I have to pursue her." And I did, and we are celebrating. We celebrated 9 years, going on 10 years of marriage.
That's
I love
crazy.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And this is all about really celebrating like the cultural dynamics between African American and Caribbean American relationships and all of the beautiful complications and culture shocks that occur throughout all of our relationship journeys.
Lord,
And
it's
so
complicated.
And so I'm so curious to hear a little bit more about kind of overcoming some of that. But I know you probably want to jump in and share
Why
a
you
little
think?
bit
Why you
about.
gonna put it on me?
Well, I'm just saying you probably want to share a little bit about.
Well, my version is better.
Yeah.
So it was a warm day
I knew this is.
at
Yeah,
Howard
yeah. There we go.
University
Set the stage.
in 2013. Well, let me step a bit back actually, because Aliyah and our friendship started the end of kind of really last part of freshman year. We were both in this team leader training program, and we both had these Who Am I presentations, and I heard Aliyah's name before. She was in the honors program in our school of business, and she was winning case competitions, and I just was like, Aliyah Rolak. I was like, who's this Aliyah girl, And then I'll never forget, I walked into the presentation room, and somebody pointed out where, I kind of was asking around, like, who's Aliyah? Just out of
Mm.
curiosity. I never saw how she looked, nothing like that. And somebody pointed her out, and I was like, oh, that's Aliyah. So me plotting. I
Not
was
you
like,
plotting.
yep, I
You're always
figured out a
plotting.
strategic way to go sit next to her, and we would talk, and I was like, just having some small talk. She did her Who Am I presentation. She did performance sign language.
Mhm.
You know
I
how to
did a
sign?
Yeah, actually, I used to do pageants and like sign language was my talent.
Who
I would
are
sign
you?
to music. You didn't know that?
No, I did not. I'm learning.
Fun fact of the day. There you
yeah,
go.
it was always very, very entertaining. But I did a poem talking about our
Mm,
a tie to cell phones, right?
no one got it.
No
I mean,
one.
I got it.
Wait, I didn't get it a while ago. I was like,
So basically, he does this poem. We are all doing these Human My presentations. There was a variety of them, and he does his poem very well written.
Mhm.
I got it. I did get it.
I'm a writer.
But when he finished, it was dead silence. No snaps, nothing. And he looks around
They
the
was
room.
feeling it. They was processing it.
they didn't know what
That's what
you
happened.
They didn't know what he was talking about.
Y'all were meant to be
They
together.
was processing.
So
it.
he looks around the room
No,
and he's
somebody
like,
asked me.
and someone
Somebody asked
said,
me.
and people started to clap like, oh, he's done. And then someone says, wait, what was that even about?
And I looked at them as crazy as they was looking at me, and I was like, the phone.
But she got
Everybody was
it,
like,
though.
oh.
I did
yeah.
get it.
Your
I did get
woman
it.
got it.
But
And
yeah, she did.
afterwards, he came back to his seat, and I was like, "That you did a really good job."
Aw, you a
And that was the
child.
first time we ever actually spoke, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first time. And then friendship kept budding and stuff, but we ended up end of the training, we do our exit interviews, and they basically decide to pair us together. We all of in our exit interviews, all of my strengths were her weaknesses and vice versa. So it was a really kind of cute moment between us. Then got into sophomore year. You
Yeah,
wanna-
and I think it really kind of turned out into a situation of just us being very complementary, and so we ended up naturally falling into this like partnership role together, and things grew from there. But I think like anything, and even with hearing y'all's story, like there's always the sparks, and that's beautiful, and there's the beginnings and the oh wow, this is so wonderful. But if y'all are anything like us, there's also some very rocky and very patchy and very
Some mountains.
so what was kind of the initial shocker there? What happened where you're getting to know each other, you're like, this is wonderful, I'm seeing all these cool things, and then you're like, hold on, wait, y'all do what?
I don't know, but I want to get my credit. Who advised you to go to Howard University?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
All right.
Disclaimer.
I gotta look at the all
Who
right.
advised
Disclaimer.
Aliyah to go to Howard University?
Pay for the-
Brandon paid for my application.
He-
at
And
sure
Howard
did.
then Omar would have, and like you just said, there we go.
Yeah.
So Omar, thank you.
Oh, that's what we
Thank
coming
Okay,
with today.
so
Okay.
I guess
Thank you.
Brandon is the
Okay.
reason why
Hey,
he synergy meet everything, and here
Hey.
we are.
I
So-
low key though feel like he synergy me his way into my life. Like
Okay.
Oh, no, that was- yeah.
he's got a book that he wrote, took him 10
yeah,
years.
Synergy Me
And it's not shade.
out on
but
Master Guide to Becoming a Practical Network. Practical Guide to Becoming a Master Networker
Oh,
on
God, give us
Amazon.
book.
I'm over here fumbling my book. You can get it on Amazon camera. I'm pointing to you
Yes.
people.
Time to take
Okay.
the disclaimer.
Okay, but all that synergy me, all those skills, all that let's network, let's know everybody, because Brandon knows everybody. All that let's
sure
know
do.
everybody, let's get to know everybody. That doesn't always play out in love though. Like that works professionally, but then when you're trying to land in Alicia,
I know, I like that, and Alicia.
I'm
All of
just
this.
saying.
And Alicia.
Focus on yourself,
I'm just
King.
saying.
But you know what's so interesting? Like the interesting moment for me was how much of a Mr. Hempstead he was. Like I went to
Shout out to the 516. Shout out to Hempstead. Shout out to Hempstead. Strong Islands in the house.
We love
I represented
Hempstead.
at Howard. Everywhere I represent the
Every-
516.
but that's the
Exit
thing.
19 North.
So it wasn't cultural in the sense where like, oh, he's African American and they do this thing that was uncommon to me, or I've never seen that. I went to an HBCU, so the
You
African American
went.
culture. I went. Well,
Okay.
started at an HBCU.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's be clear.
It, we're not going to talk about that.
Another episode. Another season.
But I was familiar with African American culture
Yeah.
generally, but like Hempstead culture is different.
Watch your mouth.
And no, like not in a bad way. It's just that Brandon like repped Hempstead. He like
No, I mean, I
We
understand
take
that.
pride
and I
where
didn't
we
get it,
from.
right? Where I'm from, I grew up in Miami Gardens, you know,
Hey,
formerly
hey.
known as Carroll City.
305.
You know, everybody 305,
305.
you know. Everybody just kind of, well, at least in the West Indian community,
Mhm.
you kind of just kept your head down. You went to school, you went to church, supermarket,
Mhm.
and that was it. There was nothing, I mean, at least within my circle of family and like, you know, people we grew up with, we
Right.
weren't doing community work.
Mm.
So to see Brandon, he was on the school board when I met him. He's like, oh, school board, and I coach Little League baseball. I'm like, so you got kids? Like, he's like, oh no, I just coach and I'm on the school board. Like, why are you so invested in this community? Now it all makes sense. Like, Brandon does love, you know, Hempstead and where he grew up, and the people love him back, which is amazing. But I didn't get it. I was like, this is a lot. Like, you know, normal people just go about their lives. They go in, they close their doors, they close their blinds, and they live. He's like, nah, we outside, like tigers. And like, even when Brandon proposed to me, like on our way to what I now know is my proposal, he had on a Hempstead hoodie.
Bro.
Like, I despise that hoodie, by the way. I'm like,
No,
Bro.
you did have on a Hempstead hoodie. I was like, why are you wearing that?
No, I didn't.
And he was like, oh, it's my hoodie from my
Oh.
school.
He said, here, I got to make this core memory.
So for me, that was where a little bit of a culture clash, because I'm more of a homebody, and community was not like, I think like I had my church community, but I wasn't outside in the streets with like my local community and government, which was different. And that's his whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting though when you think about it, because the dynamic, the community and the definition of community is definitely different from like an African American perspective compared to like an immigrant perspective in general, and how you build community, how you find community. And so I think it is interesting to come from a space where that community is built off of very real tangible things like, you know, church, or even in some cases like, you know, coworkers, things like that, to moving in a space where community is, you know, where you're at, where you grew up, and what that looks like, right?
Yeah, I agree. And it's not a Black thing, it's a Brandon thing, which is what makes it so unique. But
I love my communities. I take pride in them. Hempstead to me is like New Orleans-ish, where it's mostly it's generations, but the reality was it's just me and my mother. But she was very active, very service-oriented. So since when I met Alicia through Urban League, which is a service-oriented organization, you know, I was hoping, you know, and she does. We share the same love for service, and and again, I just take pride in you know, what helped make me, and that 19 North for the Southern State helped make me.
we are thankful for him still.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we share in common. Like we mentioned, we were, you know, a part of a leadership development program. You all were involved in local leadership in your community. And like, I think when you meet people and build a relationship that's built on a foundation of service, it's a very unique thing. And it's definitely something to be celebrated. But also very interesting when you're coming from different perspective and different lenses on what service means and what types of things should be supported and given and grown from a place of community, as opposed to what types of things should be earned and what types of things should be done on your own. And so, you know, I think that's definitely something with us that turned into a little bit of a tiny bit of a culture clash, just with how we approached work and approached resilience. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on that actually, and how you felt kind of early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was I relate a lot to Alicia with this. You know, I mean, like I didn't meet Alicia till big in my 20s, you know,
We
but
love Omar.
but you know, it was very similar sort of dynamic, right? Where it was, you know, you went to school, and I probably could say that my first African American like friend group was when I went to Howard, you know.
Really?
Yeah. And immediate, because I mean, every friend, if they weren't Jamaican, it was Haitian, it was Puerto Rican,
Growing
like
up in
I mean,
growing
you know,
Miami,
growing up
yeah.
in Miami, right?
Yeah.
I got oohs and ahs.
Yeah, that was. I took Omar to his first soul food experience.
All right.
First
Is
time.
Oohs and Ahs a restaurant?
Yeah, on U Street.
It's still on U Street. Yeah,
It's still
I think
on
it's
U Street. Yeah.
But on U Street, man, oh man,
That food
she
was
took
good,
me
huh?
to that.
His first time
I
having
had turkey
collard
wings.
greens.
I remember my first meal was
Ah,
turkey
look at
wings,
the-
the
Yeah.
smoked turkey wings,
First
with
time
collard
having
greens,
collard
He is, look at him
sweet
dreaming
potato.
over that mic.
You
textbook.
have no idea. You have no idea.
We
I
don't
said,
have insurance on the microphones.
No, but that was, I'll never forget that day because I was like, wow. And I'll be honest that there was sometimes even assumptions, right, that was made about food, right, in other cultures,
Bro.
you know, and you know, but just yeah, not to get too much into that, but you know, I remember that being a big of a moment for me, like just thinking, okay, I'm at this black school, right? Thinking like, oh, we all black, right? But just even those little small dynamics where it was
Yeah.
like, there was so much learning that Aliyah had to do towards me, you know, which, and I, you know, looking back at that, I appreciate that so much in a sense because, you know, I mean, especially here in college, like you don't really got time. Like you in a relationship, and I would say we had a pretty serious relationship. I would say during our
Yeah,
time in
y'all
college.
did.
Yeah, we was taking what people thought were engagement photo shoots our junior year.
It's like, who is that Omar?
you know,
What's she buying him at?
you know, but I think that was, you know, I look back at that and I'm so appreciative because I'm like, you know, just being able to spend that time to invest, to share and be like, hey, there's some core differences here, and having that. I honestly, both of us having that maturity to walk through that, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, then there was the darker side, right? When, like the moment that comes to me, you know, when I think that was 2016, junior year again, or I'm sorry, not 2016, but getting the years mixed up, but you know, the acquittal, with George Zimmerman, and me and Aaliyah had very shaped different, received those experiences very differently. Um, you know, I felt a bit of disappointment, a bit of like shock, right? And I think Aaliyah experienced what for her was a continual experience, right? She sighed at the moment. I was grieving a moment. She was grieving a time, right? She
And
was grieving.
I'll even add to that. I think part of what he was grieving was a perception.
Yeah, right.
You know, coming from different backgrounds, and this was probably our first big culture clash, our first big, really argument that we got into around like our backgrounds and where we were coming from. Really surrounded this idea that he had this fond appreciation for the country.
Yeah. I mean, that's the West Indian thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, our parents came here for, like, a better life.
Exactly.
And it's funny because I want to clarify that most do have a great life, right, in the West Indies.
Yep.
However, they come for what is perceived as better, right? And so, like, unfortunately, a lot of West Indians look at the Black experience very different from African Americans. And so I could see how that reaction would have been different, because I would say a lot of people in the West Indian community are just like, oh my God, like, it's just like, this is crazy, but then follow the justice system, kind of thing.
And that was his reaction.
Yeah.
It was very much like, you know, I was saying how disappointed I was about the decision, but that I also wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
And I was angry and I was hurt by it. And, you know, there was a lot of effort on campus to try to keep people from running out and destroying things. And from his lens, he had a standpoint on it of, you know, well, I can't just chalk this up to that's just the way that this country is, because if that's the case, then everything that my parents did was for nothing.
Yeah.
And so it was a very different experience for him than it was for me. And it was a moment where I felt that he had privilege in that moment to be able to even disassociate from the issue in that way.
And the privilege you were feeling, and how, with obviously where we are in life now, like that moment was one of those first moments where it felt like this is happening to me instead of it happening to them.
Too.
Instead of them.
You know? And growing up, you know, there was so much pride in, you know, Jamaicanness and
being different
and being Jamaican and you know, and this kind of like this, I want to say obsession, but kind of this thing of being more looked at as more exotic, right? You're from
yeah,
Caribbean
I've gotten
descent,
that. Like,
all this stuff.
you're exotic. I
Yeah.
was like, I am.
But in that but in that moment, and I think maybe part of it being at Howard now, being in this shared space with other Black folks, being in a relationship with the African American woman, I was like, wow, like I was, that was a shock to my system, because now I'm like, I'm part of this,
Yeah.
which I've always been, but
But it's interesting
Yeah.
though, because I think kind of having gone through a similar experience where it was just like, oh, this is the way the justice system is, and we have to obey the law
Right.
and obey police, and you don't question authority.
Yep.
The world looks at Black folks as a monolith, but we're not. And
Yep.
so it's interesting that there were these different dynamics
Yeah.
even in that moment. So that is, I can see how that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
100%.
I don't know. I don't know if we're doing if it's game time, but that was an interesting take, and it's wild that it took college to
Yeah.
get you there with the fusion at the Mecca. That's a experience.
Yeah.
So I want to ask one more question, and then we have a fun game.
Love a game.
So I'm really excited. But, this is a lot of heavy conversation. There was a lot of really challenging things that happened, I know, for us, for you all as well. But for anyone who's listening, who's kind of going through this, little couple in college at Howard, who's like, we're from different cultures and we're trying
Shout
to
out to
figure
Howard
it out.
Love. It's a thing. Go ahead.
What's kind of the overcoming part of this? Like what, I think when we think about the challenges that we had in our relationship and even that particular situation, I think the big thing for us was just really committing radically to open conversation and like having a very, very open mind and going into it being as honest and non-judgmental as possible in order to not only accept where the other person was coming from, but to learn to appreciate their culture and their background and their perspective in a way that I was able to look at Omar's experience and say, wow, like that's really beautiful that you're coming from this place of having this type of an appreciation and perspective. But he could also look at my experience and say, you know what, like I admire your courage to still be invested in the way that you are, in the way that, you describe Brandon, despite the type of perspective that you have and what you've grown up with. So I guess for you all, like, what's your story with that?
I mean, look, it is not always a bed of roses. It doesn't always smell good, look good. Cause I'm difficult for no reason. I'm like, I'm gonna just put that out there. I can be difficult for no reason. I'm being honest. But to your point, it is about having wide open conversations and showing up. Like, I think for me, like, I'm also the person that needs to see it to believe it. So if you say, don't touch the stove, I'm going to touch it. And I'm like, ooh, that burned. But, I think I learn by being and by doing. And so there are moments where you just show up for the person. And somehow, for me, at least, my ears start to open up. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Oh, let me have some empathy. I didn't really know what empathy was because,
the empathy
West
word,
Indians,
the best.
we don't got empathy.
Ding, ding,
Bad
ding.
stereotype, but it's true. But, I think over the years, Brandon has actually helped me to be a more empathetic person because that was just not a thing. Like,
This is recorded on the record, correct?
it is. I'm being honest. Why you act like I'm never honest?
Love you, honey.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I plus one to everything you said.
Yes.
And just give grace. I think you just need to just give grace,
Ooh,
y'all.
amazing grace.
You just need to just be understanding and but not no one's perfect. So just give the grace.
I have a follow-up question. Where'd you learn +1 from?
My goodness.
A previous employer.
Sure. Okay.
+1.
All right, let's play a little game. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we all have these little boards. You also have little erasers.
Okay.
All right.
Fancy.
And some markers.
You want to I hope my handwriting.
And we're going to write large and legibly.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. But the goal of the game is for you to respond to the answer the same way that your spouse responds to the answer. So I'm sure everyone's like seen a version of this game somewhere. For our game though, we are going to answer some fun questions about how well we know each other. So the first question is, what's your husband's favorite saying?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Lord.
So I'm writing what it is.
Yeah, you write what it is and she's going to try to match your answer.
When do I flip this around?
Hide your board too.
Oh,
Damn, I don't know which one you're gonna pick because there's actually two that came to my mind, but I'm gonna go
we
with
right
this one.
too.
I don't think she's gonna say it, but fuck it, I'm not. But keep the faith.
If I've heard it enough, I'll probably say it.
Okay, this is not neat handwriting, so I did my best. But everybody ready?
No
Yup.
judging.
Okay.
So who's gonna? So she's
Oh,
gonna
I'm
say
not.
first,
I'm not
or-
ready, but hold on.
Hurry up.
Let's
Okay.
just flip it around.
Oh, I'm gonna add that we are in competition today. So
Oh,
if
I won.
every time you match, you get a point. Brandon, you're responsible for keeping tally. And
Oh, that's we in trouble.
if we win, you owe us a prize or something.
Ooh,
And if you win, you get bragging rights.
I love gifts, Brandon.
Oh my
I said
God.
we did.
Look.
Yeah, right.
Look.
We love gifts.
That's so crazy.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Oh,
There
hey,
you
look
go.
at that.
All right. So
Oh no, I wasn't sure if he was gonna
One.
put. I
Why
put
you put
two.
two?
Wait,
I put two
Why you put
possibilities.
2?
it's
Just
the same.
two.
It's the same.
I
It's-
mean,
it's
Be
the
two
same.
possibilities.
It's the same.
I
It counts.
All right,
It counts.
fine.
It's the same.
That's
thing.
valid. I
I
would have
guess
put
I'll
that
give it
too.
to you, even though ours was like exact.
Yeah.
Oh,
Clearly,
no,
I
don't even
don't
do that.
listen.
It
Don't
gone
even
bad
do that.
already.
Don't
That's
even
his
do that.
favorite
Yeah,
thing
she
to
hate
say.
when I say
clearly,
that.
I don't listen.
No,
It's my least
that's
favorite
it.
saying,
Ding,
and he
ding,
says it
ding.
all the time.
Ding, ding, ding. You got
He
it.
says B.
Because nothing's gone bad already. Nothing cannot be resolved. We can resolve
Like
it.
Omar says that.
Omar says that all the time.
All the time.
It's the
Oh.
worst. Okay, question 2. What is your wife's childhood comfort food?
Oh yeah.
Childhood comfort food.
I can't even remember my own comfort.
yo, that's what I started with. Hold on.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Your wife's favorite
Are we ready?
I don't
Yep.
remember Leah as a child.
All right.
You don't. I didn't have a childhood.
That's not what I
Oh,
said.
yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. What did you put?
Oh,
Damn.
you got it.
Dang.
They got it. And what did you put?
Yeah.
Everything
With a
except what I
tomato.
put.
But I
I
call it
put
the
crab
birthday.
legs. I put sweet potato casserole. Then I said cornbread.
What,
Oh,
that's
good
a big
potato.
Pasta?
tomato.
Pasta?
Yeah, I like pasta. I'm from Long Island.
But
I
childhood? Oh man, but you ain't said y'all
Wow.
wasn't cooking it like that to be like, oh, that's my
That
childhood.
sounds like her Thanksgiving.
I am a
plate.
Oh,
very good
goodness.
pasta. It's
Good
always
job,
al
E.
dente.
Good job. You got the
Okay.
tomato in
Yeah,
there.
black.
Look, the Bertie
Yeah,
sandwich.
That's
what I'm
wild.
My dad used to fry me an egg
You wrote
sandwich with a slice
everything.
of tomato.
Yo,
Okay.
my mama ate those too. Dang.
Next question. Who said I love you first? This one needs to be fast because y'all know.
It wasn't me.
Bro, I should deduct a point.
Make it honest.
Brandon, deduct a
I'm
point from
sorry.
yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh.
It was me.
It wasn't me. I might have been singing a song. I
Oh.
love you.
I think so far we're tied at this point.
But I love
I'm not
Brandon.
gonna say where it was said.
All right.
It was said first.
Anyways,
Wow.
that's above the rating of this. Okay. Who's more dramatic during an argument? One, two, three.
So we're all winners.
All right. Well,
I
you know
am
what?
Omar and Omar is me.
Yeah, real
Literally.
talk.
All right. Last question for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the louder family?
Jesus.
Hold on.
Who's keeping score?
we
No,
all,
we're high. We're
This
ahead.
is we're
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 ahead.
we're tied.
No, we're not tied. The last one we just won. Oh no,
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 we had
didn't
we
win.
both.
No.
Yeah,
You're
we're
right.
tied. So this is the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
You're right. Whatever.
Or
Or
we're
the
gonna have a tie.
tie.
All
We're
right.
We're about to tie again.
Yeah.
Who's-
All right.
Ready?
Let me see.
Ah.
I can see yours.
Listen.
Yep.
Yep. Well, game over. It is a tie.
It was a tie.
It looks like we all know each other just
pretty well.
We
Pretty well.
won.
except Omar don't know what I like to eat. Well, he listed some good
As a
stuff.
child, you tripping. Oh,
I'm just
put a
saying,
whole
these are
bunch
things
of
you should
shit.
know. I
pasta?
love
put a
pasta. You
whole
know that.
bunch-
But as a child,
Yeah, I did. I love pasta as a child.
you was cooking it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Always cook. There you
So-
go. All right.
great.
She said you put a
So-
buffet.
I did brush my
All right. Final thoughts. We're gonna wrap up. It's been a fantastic conversation.
It
I think the game was
Yeah.
super fun.
My final thought is
love y'all. But
love. All right, go ahead.
Is that your
it's not
exclusive song?
karaoke. All right. So final thought. One word to describe your relationship. Fast. Go.
Fun.
Grace. Grace.
Evolving.
Ooh. Openness.
Hmm.
There we go. I love that for us. I think it's important that, we start and lead and end with curiosity. I think that that's what keeps everything interesting and keeps us growing and learning and evolving
And fun.
And fun, right? So, like I said, we're pretty much up on our time. It's been real.
It's
Been
been
real.
real.
Just want to thank everybody for listening. This is
Wait, how did they do that?
wow.
You're
trying to be relevant.
Oh, is that
gotta-
not? Oh, I'm gonna just.
That's
I'm
clocking.
gonna just.
You're not
Oh
clocking.
no.
And
Mercy.
Okay, let me
Oh,
not.
Whoa.
You're
Okay.
not clocking. We're not
Well,
clocking.
anyway, to our family out there, whether you're in a multicultural relationship or you just love, we appreciate you being here with us at your cultural table. Callaloo and Collard Greens is really our heart and our soul, and bridging the gap between Caribbean and African American relationships and learning to love, grow, and build family and community together. So there's always a seat for you here at our table. And so we'd love for everybody out there, right, to like, subscribe, share. And we'll catch you next time on Callaloo and Collard Greens.
See y'all.
Thanks for joining us as we celebrate love, family, and legacy across cultures.
There's always a seat for you at our table. So remember to like, share, subscribe, and give us your thoughts as we want to hear your stories.
Spreading joy, sending love. Thanks for joining us on the Callaloo and Collard Greens podcast.